They told you that you were an old soul. They praised you for your calm in the middle of the storm. In every parent-teacher meeting, the report was the same. So responsible, so helpful, a pleasure to have in class. But while the world was applauding your strength, you were suffocating under its weight. You weren't an old soul. You were a child whose environment was too heavy, so you grew a shell to survive it. We call it maturity, but in the quiet rooms of therapy, we call it developmental freeze. It's what happens when a child decides that their own needs are a threat to their survival. Today, we are going to unmask the good child. We're going to talk about why your greatest virtue is actually your deepest wound, and how to finally stop being the person everyone else needs you to be. Imagine a house where the air is always thin. Maybe there was an alcoholic parent, or a mother struggling with depression, or perhaps a family where emotions were simply not allowed. In these homes, there is no room for a normal child. A normal child is loud, messy, and demanding. But in your house, those things were dangerous. If you were loud, you'd trigger the anger. If you were demanding, you'd overwhelm the already exhausted. So, you made a subconscious bargain. I will disappear so I can be safe. You became a type A personality at age 8. You learned to read the micro-expressions of the adults around you. You knew the exact frequency of a sigh that meant a breakdown was coming. This wasn't maturity, it was hyper-vigilance. You weren't learning how to be an adult, you were learning how to be a radar system. The tragedy of the easy child is that they are never truly seen. Because you were so good at taking care of yourself, the adults stopped looking. They assumed you were fine. But you weren't fine. You were just invisible. Fast forward 20 years. That maturity hasn't left you. It has evolved into a high-functioning cage. Do you find yourself in relationships where you are the therapist, the fixer, and the bank? Do you feel a wave of intense guilt the moment you try to say no or set a boundary? Do you feel like you are faking adulthood, waiting for someone to realize you're just a tired kid in a suit? This is the parentification paradox. Because you were forced to be an adult when you were a child, you feel like a child now that you are an adult. You struggle with decision fatigue because you've spent a lifetime making choices based on what would make others comfortable. You struggle with chronic self-reliance because in your heart, you still believe that if you drop the ball, no one will be there to catch it. You are terrified of being needy, not realizing that needing is what makes us human. Most people know fight or flight, but for the mature child, there's a third option: fawn. Fawning is the act of appeasing the threat to avoid conflict. If I can make you happy, you won't hurt me. If I can make your life easier, you won't leave me. This isn't a personality trait, it's a neurological wiring. Your brain's reward system became linked to self-sacrifice. You get a hit of dopamine from being useful, because for a traumatized child, being useful was the only way to be loved. But usefulness is not a basis for a relationship. It's a basis for a contract. And you are not a tool. You are a person. So, how do we fix a lifetime of being too mature? You start by being immature. I don't mean being reckless. I mean allowing yourself to be unproductive, allowing yourself to have a tantrum in a safe space, allowing yourself to say, I can't do this today. Healing is the process of unfreezing those years you skipped. It's about realizing that the mature child was a hero who did their job,
but that hero is now allowed to retire. You don't need to earn your place on this earth by being helpful. You don't need to be a fixer to be worthy of a seat at the table. Let the good child go. Let them cry. Let them be messy. And for the first time in your life, let yourself be protected by the person you've become. You are not broken for having these patterns. You are just incredibly brave. But you're safe now. You can stop performing. You can just be.
You were never mature. You were just a child doing an adult's job. And you did it well. But you're safe now. You can put the luggage down. The childhood you lost can't be recovered. But the life you have now, that you can finally start living for yourself.